You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
The options market can be a confusing place. Sorting through the daily avalanche of data, alerts, updates, articles, and analysis to find the most important information is an overwhelming prospect. But now you have help. Welcome to the Options News Rundown, the only program that breaks through the noise to bring you the most important news and information from the world of options. Every day we bring you the top 5 option stories curated by the options experts at theoptionsinsider.com, the premier source for free options information. The Options News Rundown is brought to you by Market Taker Mentoring, the leader in option trader education. Get trader education, daily trade ideas, and more with a free 1-week trial of Market Taker Mentoring's live Advantage group coaching class by visiting markettaker.com/insider. And now it's time to break through the noise. It's time for your Options News Rundown.
Good morning. Today is Friday, June 8th, 2018. This is your Options News Rundown. I'm Dan Passarelli. Our first story today is from investing.com. It's the top 5 things to know in the market on Friday. First thing to know is G7 is on watch to gauge continuing trade tensions. Market participants will focus on the G7 summit, which kicks off on Friday in Quebec amid broiling tensions against the U.S. from its group of 7 allies. France and Germany warned the U.S. that they would not sign a joint statement without concessions, but the American top economic advisor, Larry Kudlow, warned this week that U.S. President Donald Trump would not back down from his tough stance on trade. The American president may not mind being isolated, but neither do we mind signing a 6-country agreement if need be, French President Emmanuel Macron shot back. Trump showed no signs of conciliation late Thursday when he accused France and Canada of charging the U.S. massive tariffs and create non-monetary barriers. Trump also said he was looking forward to his one-on-one meetings with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and French President Emmanuel Macron on the sidelines of the summit. The second thing to know is global stocks head lower over trade concerns. U.S. futures pointed to a lower open on Wall Street as investors turn cautious ahead of trade tensions expected at the G7 summit. The third thing to know is the dollar breaks 4 straight days of declines. In a session with no major economic reports, the dollar rebounded on Friday, moving higher after 4 consecutive sessions in the red. At 5:55 a.m. Eastern Time, the U.S. dollar index gained 0.19% at 93.61. The euro in particular has added downward pressure to the dollar after the European Central Bank's chief economist Peter Praet said Wednesday that officials are increasingly confident that inflation is rising back towards the bank's target and will debate whether to begin gradually scaling back its asset purchase program at its policy meeting next week. Fourth thing to know today is oil heads lower with eyes on U.S. production. Oil traded lower on Friday while investors waited for the weekly installment of drilling activity from Baker Hughes on Friday. The report will provide investors with fresh insights into U.S. oil production and demand as investors continue to fret the rapid pace of U.S. output. And the fifth thing to know today is U.S.-China trade deficit jumps to $24.6 billion. China maintained solid export growth of 12.6% in May, slightly lower than in April, but still providing good news for Beijing's policymakers as they deal with tough trade negotiations with Washington. The trade data released on Friday also showed that imports to the world's second largest economy also rose more than expected in May, and at the fastest pace since January. However, China's trade surplus with the U.S. rose 11.7% to $24.6 billion, and the figure may reinforce Trump's resolve to impose new tariffs against China as early as next week. Our second story today is from Investing.com. Apple shares and suppliers fall after iPhone order cut report. Apple Inc. shares and Europe-based suppliers declined after a report that the technology giant has warned its supply chain of a drop of around 20% in new iPhone component orders. Apple fell 2.1% in U.S. pre-market trading after its Frankfurt-listed shares lost as much as 2.1%. Supplier ARMS AG dropped as much as 6.7%. Other European semiconductor stocks, including Dialog Semiconductor, ST Microelectronics NV, and Infineon Technologies, all slipped after the Nikkei said that Apple told its supply chain to prepare about 20% fewer components for iPhones debuting in the later half of this year, compared with 2017 orders, citing people in the industry it didn't identify. Our third story today is from FXStreet.com. WTI on the back foot below 66, and U.S. rigs data and G7 are in focus. WTI extends its downside consolidative mode into a further day today, although it looks set to end this week almost unchanged. The barrel of WTI faced rejection once again near the $66.20 level and dropped back below the 66 handle as the bears regained a promise amid signs of slowing oil demand from China. That's the world's second biggest oil consumer. Also, the ongoing rise in the U.S. output levels and crude stockpiles build also keeps the bearish pressure intact on the commodity. The U.S. crude oil production hit another record last week at 10.8 million barrels per day, while the U.S. crude inventories rose by 2.1 million barrels in the week to June 1st. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is news you can use for today, Friday, June 8th, 2018, your Options News Rundown. I'm Dan Passarelli, Trade Smarts, and have a nice weekend.
Thank you for listening to the Options News Rundown. To learn more about these stories or any other developments from the world of options, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com, the premier source for free options information. The Options News Rundown is brought to you by Market Taker Mentoring, the leader in option trader education. Get trader education, daily trade ideas, and more with a free 1-week trial of Market Taker Mentoring's live Advantage group coaching class by visiting markettaker.com/insider.
The preceding program was a production of the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com.